You asked her what was wrong, she said, "I'm fine." You believed her. That was your first mistake. "I'm fine" is not a status update. It is not a green light. It is not permission to move on and pretend nothing happened. "I'm fine" is a test, a signal, and sometimes a warning, all wrapped into 2 words. And until today, most men have been failing that moment without even knowing it. I'm a woman. I've said it. I've meant it 5 different ways, and I'm going to decode every single one of them for you right now. Here's what you need to understand about how women communicate. We are taught, very early, that expressing how we really feel is risky, that being too emotional is too much, that asking for what we need makes us needy. So over time, many women develop a kind of shorthand, a way of signaling that something is wrong without fully saying it, because part of us wants you to care enough to figure it out. That's not manipulation. That's emotional history. But it creates a massive gap between what she says and what she means. And men, who are generally wired to take words at face value, walk right through that gap, and straight into conflict they didn't see coming. So let me decode it. "I'm fine" has 5 different meanings depending on the context. I'm giving you all 5. With exactly what you should do in each one. Pay attention. This is the manual nobody gave you. Point 1. She's not fine. She's waiting to see if you'll push. This is the most common version, and the one that costs the most men the most trust. Something happened. She felt something about it. You asked how she was. She said, "I'm fine." But her tone was flat. Her energy was off. Her body language was telling a completely different story. She is not lying to you. She is giving you a window. A small, specific window to say, "I can see you're not fine. Talk to me. I'm not going anywhere." What most men do is exhale with relief and move on. She said she's fine. Great. Problem solved. And that relief, that specific exhale, is exactly what she's watching for. Because if you're relieved rather than curious, it tells her you didn't actually want to go deeper. You just wanted the tension to go away. You were managing the situation, not actually caring about her. The right move here is not complicated. Don't accept "I'm fine" when the energy doesn't match it. Say something like, "I hear you, but you don't seem fine. I'd rather know what's actually going on." That one sentence. That's it. It communicates that you're paying attention, that her real feelings matter more to you than a comfortable silence, that you're not going to be fooled by the surface answer when the whole room is saying something different. That one sentence does more for trust and emotional connection than an hour of explanation after the fact. Learn to read the room. Act on what you see. Point 2. She's genuinely overwhelmed, but doesn't know how to start. Sometimes "I'm fine" has absolutely nothing to do with you. She's carrying something. Stress, worry, something she's been turning over in her head alone for days. And when you ask how she is, "I'm fine" is just the automatic response. Because she doesn't know how to open the door to a bigger conversation without it becoming a whole thing. Women often don't want to be solved. They want to be heard. But starting that kind of conversation feels heavy. It requires energy she might not have right now. It requires trusting that you'll be present for it and not make her feel like a burden. So she says she's fine and keeps the lid on until she's ready. What you should do here is not push hard, but leave the door wide open. Something like, "Okay, but I'm here if that changes." And then actually be present, not glued to your phone, not half watching something, not ready to move on to the next topic. Actually there, physically and emotionally in the room. Women notice when you mean it. We notice when it's just something you said to seem supportive before going back to whatever you were doing. The men we open up to fully are the ones who created the space and then actually held it. Without pressure. Without a time limit on when we need to be okay again. That kind of presence is rare. It's what gives her the safety to open up when she's finally ready. Point 3. She's testing whether you'll make the effort. This version is more deliberate. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. She has a feeling that you're not fully invested, that you're going through the motions, that she's putting in more than she's getting back. And she wants to see what you do when things aren't smooth, when she's not making it easy, when you have to actually choose to show up. I'm fine in this context is almost a dare. Push through this. Care enough to try. Show me I matter more than the comfort of avoiding this moment. If you let it go, if you take the easy exit, you confirm what she was already suspecting, that your investment in her is conditional on things being comfortable, that when it asks something of you, you're not really there. If you lean in, not aggressively, not dramatically, just genuinely, you pass the test. You've shown her that the connection matters enough to you to push through the surface answer. Now I know the word test makes men uncomfortable, and I understand that. Games and tests that are malicious are real, and they're a problem. But this isn't a game. This is a woman trying to find out whether you're actually here, or just here when it's easy. Men who understand women know that the conversations that feel the most uncomfortable are often the ones that build the most trust. She's not trying to trap you. She's trying to see if you're the kind of man who shows up when it's not comfortable. That's not manipulation. That's information she actually needs. Point 4. She's genuinely done with the conversation. Not everything is a signal, and this is the version men miss most often, in the other direction. Sometimes, I'm fine actually means exactly what it says. She said what she needed to say. She's processed it. She's made peace with it. And she doesn't want to keep going in circles, reopening something she's already closed. Women who have been in the pattern of over-explaining themselves, who have spent years rehashing the same ground in the same conversations, sometimes get to a point where they'd genuinely rather shut it down than go around again. The exhaustion is real. The desire to just let it be done is real. The way you tell this version apart from the others is context. Has this topic come up before? Did you already have a full version of this conversation? Is she calm and clear rather than tense and clipped? Is her body language settled rather than guarded? If the answer is yes across the board, she probably means it. She's fine. Let her be fine. And the right move is to accept it, genuinely, without sulking. Without the slightly wounded withdrawal that communicates you wanted her to still be upset so you could fix it. Without the lingering energy that keeps the tension alive when she's trying to put it down. Trust her at her word in that moment, and then make sure your actions after match what you said you understood. Because if the conversation comes back up 3 days later, it's usually because the resolution was accepted in words and then quietly ignored in behavior. Point 5. She's protecting herself because she doesn't trust the space yet. This is the one that matters most, especially in the earlier stages of a connection. If she doesn't fully trust that you can handle her real emotions without getting defensive, dismissive, or making it about you, she will default to, "I'm fine," every single time. Because past experience has taught her that being honest about how she feels creates more problems than it solves. Maybe she opened up to someone before, and it was thrown back at her in an argument. Maybe she expressed a feeling and was told she was overreacting. Maybe she was vulnerable with someone, and they used it as a reason to pull away. So she learned. Keep the lid on. Stay surface level. "I'm fine" is safer than the truth. This is not about you specifically. This is what she's learned from everything before you. And the only way through it is track record. You cannot talk her into trusting you. You cannot explain your way there. You build it, brick by brick, through how you respond every single time she does give you something real. Don't interrupt when she's telling you something difficult. Don't pivot immediately to your own position. Don't make her feel like a burden for having a feeling. Don't bring what she told you in a vulnerable moment into a conflict later. Every time you receive what she gives you with care, you add a brick. Over time, those bricks become the foundation she stands on when she decides to open the door all the way. Women open up fully to the men who have earned it. Safety is built over time, through repeated evidence. Be the evidence. "I'm fine" is not the problem. The pattern that leads to "I'm fine" is the problem. When a woman stops telling you how she actually feels, when the real conversations disappear and everything becomes surface level and managed, that's not peace. That's distance. That's a woman who has decided it's safer to go quiet than to keep trying. And distance, left long enough, becomes the end. Not a dramatic end. A quiet one. The kind where she's still there, but she's already gone. The women who feel genuinely safe with their partner don't need the "I'm fine" shield. They say what they mean, because they trust what happens when they do. If she keeps saying she's fine, and you keep accepting it, you are both choosing comfort over connection, and that choice has a cost. You usually only understand that cost when it's too late to pay it differently. What "I'm fine" actually means depends entirely on the moment, the context, and what she's learned about whether you can handle the truth. Now you know how to read every version of it. If this opens something up for you, subscribe, because this is exactly what this channel is for. The real conversations, the things nobody told you. New video coming soon. I'll see you there.